You should put up there.
Hello and welcome to Wendy Wednesday on this Wednesday, November 4th. It is great to see everybody today. Hope everyone is doing well. We have a gorgeous week of weather, so much better than last week. Oh my goodness, last week it was doom and gloom and rain, and this week they say it's going to be close to 70 degrees this weekend, so woohoo! Here comes the sun, as the song goes. We're going to pan out to see our lovely, talented friend, Zelda Fassler. She is a resident at the Hebrew Home and a good friend of mine. Welcome, Zelda, to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
It is great to see you. We are going to get down to some usual housekeeping business for the show, and then we will have our interview. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. So as I said, the weather is beautiful today. Please try to get outside. The leaves are turning. Allison took a beautiful photo of this big, beautiful tree with yellow leaves yesterday. Really beautiful fall foliage. So do check it out. Today's menu features lunch. Chicken asabuco. Today's menu features lunch. That didn't quite sound right. I meant to say today's lunch features chicken. Chicken asabuco. Chicken asabuco, which I'm not quite sure what that is because, you know, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't know, but I'm sure it's going to be quite delicious. It's being served with baked potato and pears for dessert. And for dinner, we have 4 bean soup with baked ziti, zucchini medley, and sponge cake for dessert. So enjoy your meals. On this November 4th, we have a few birthdays to celebrate. There's 3 residents today, Clara C., Jeff B., and Naomi G. They're all celebrating a birthday. And I don't have the staff birthdays today, so if we have any staff members celebrating, we wish you a happy birthday as well. Some notable individuals who have birthdays today, Ralph Macchio. Do you remember him from The Karate Kid?
Oh, sure.
Puff Daddy or P. Diddy, he had a couple of different name iterations over the years, so it's his birthday. Matthew McConaughey. All right. That's
my favorite.
We like him. He's got some really fun movies, right?
He is great.
Fool's Gold, and he's done a bunch. Failure to Launch. That one is on TV a lot with Sarah Jessica Parker. That's a fun one, too.
He did The Wedding Planner.
Did he do that one?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yes, with Jennifer Lopez.
Right.
Oh, look at this. Okay, Zelda, you know your Matthew McConaughey trivia. Oh. Wink, wink, okay. Art Carney from the Honeymooners, it was his birthday too. And the horoscope for today says, affairs of the heart will generally go well for you over the coming year. But take care you don't get infatuated with someone who everyone but you can see won't do you much good. Passion is a wonderful thing, but can lead to foolish decisions. Oh, we could have a whole show about that, right? Passion leading to foolish decisions. Okay. We won't go there right now, but that would be an interesting show. The date in history. In 1879, the first cash register was patented to combat stealing by bartenders in a saloon in Dayton, Ohio. In 1925, the first woman governor of a state in the United States was elected, and that was Nellie Taylor Rose, and she was from Wyoming. And in 2001, the first Harry Potter movie from the J.K. Rowling books premiered, and we know Allison is a fan of those. Before we get to Zelda's interview, I just thought I would chat about sleeping, because did you get much sleep last night with the elections?
I didn't sleep at all, so what happened is I must have fallen asleep about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, so I overslept.
Oh.
And when I woke up and I saw it was 9 o'clock.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, I have to be downstairs.
I think a lot of people
boom,
were sleeping up, were up late last night. I know in my house, me and my son Ben, we just said, you know what? Nothing is going to be decided tonight, so we're not staying up. We're not even watching. So he and I watched, just regular TV movies. My other son Daniel and my husband David, they stayed up until 3 in the morning watching all of this. I'm like, why? We still don't have an answer, so why? So anyway, I thought it'd be very funny, just since there's probably a lot of sleep-deprived people watching today, just to talk about a little bit of sleep trivia. So, did you know that man or woman is the only mammal that willingly delays sleep? The higher the altitude, the greater the sleep disruption, which I've heard before, like in Colorado, right? And you've got the high elevations that impacts sleep. In general, exercising regularly makes it easier to fall asleep, of course. This one I did not know. Divorced, widowed, and separated people report more insomnia. I guess, relationships are on the mind. More than 8 in 10 survey respondents think that people often or sometimes misuse prescription sleep aids. No surprise. Caffeine has been called the most popular drug in the world. And that, of course, keeps people up at night, right? From chocolate and sodas and coffee and tea. Most healthy adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night to function. How many hours of sleep do you think you get a night, Zelda? You think you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep?
No, sometimes I make up for it, but I usually get like 5 or 6.
Oh, that's not enough.
I know.
Sleep is just as important as diet and exercise. Newborns sleep a total of 14 to 17 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that sound nice? Okay, I think those are like the main ones. It says snoring is the primary cause of sleep disruption for approximately 90 million American adults, 37 million on a regular basis. Okay, so that is the sleep trivia for the day. Everything you wanted to know about sleeping and snoring. So Zelda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. So for our viewers who don't have the pleasure of knowing you, which I think most people know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Most people know me.
Yeah, you're very social. You're out and about, right? I mean, that's a good thing.
People say, hello, Zelda, and who's that?
So
they do.
Tell us where you're from and tell us about your family. How about that?
Okay, I grew up in Brooklyn, and my children did as well, until they were by first grade. They were in private school. My father was very orthodox, and he wanted my children to go to a very orthodox yeshiva. And the only way I could make my husband happy and my father happy, because my father lived with me, was to send them to a bicultural yeshiva, which was like they learned all the culture and all the history of the Jewish people. They learned how to speak Hebrew and read it and write it. It was a marvelous school, but it wasn't Orthodox.
Okay.
But my father, at least, he was learning. So, okay, my father was happy with that. My husband wouldn't have been happy with anything but that, but he was happier than an Orthodox yeshiva.
Right. So you found a middle ground to keep
So
everybody
I
happy.
found a very expensive middle ground, but it was the best thing that they could have had.
Was
really.
this in Brooklyn, or was this also in Brooklyn where you
It
grew
was
up?
in Brooklyn. It was called the Bialik School.
Okay.
It was in Flatbush, on Church, near Ocean Parkway.
And how many children did you say you have?
3.
3 boys or girls?
1 boy, he's the oldest, and 2 girls.
Okay. And then you moved you stayed in Brooklyn for a long time, or you left?
I stayed in Brooklyn until they were in regular. My son was in that school first.
Because he's the oldest.
He's the oldest,
Right.
and we knew he couldn't go to a regular school. He was pretty bright, and the teachers suggested he get a better schooling than we had in Brooklyn.
Oh.
And they helped me find this. And but I didn't want him to be the only one in the family to go there, so I went up and got my daughters in as well.
And then what? And then you were working at the time?
Well, I went to work to pay for that school. But fortunately, my brother had a business. He was in the diamond and gold business. And I told him I needed to work to pay for the school I'm sending them to. But I need special hours. He said, I'll tell you what. You come in and do what you have to do here. I'll show you what I want from you. And you come anytime you want, as long as that gets done, that's fine.
And that was in the Diamond District?
That was right. I was just lucky to have a brother in the business.
So maybe we could just pause and talk about what it must be like to be surrounded by jewelry all day long. And the diamonds and I mean, that must have been fun. Did you try things on?
Not in the factory, no. But there were times I was able to, at home. He brought some stuff home there for me. But
Zelda, you're so matter of fact. Oh, I brought some things home. I mean, like
it's
a lot
funny.
Of fun.
It's funny. My children, whenever we went to the city, they always wanted to go to Uncle Sam's office because Uncle Sam would put a little gold necklace on them, a ring, little things. They never left without some jewelry.
A trinket.
Right. 14-karat gold trinkets.
That sounds
Precious
good.
stones, which they treated as though I found them in the street or bought them. I'd say, where is the necklace Uncle Sam gave you? I don't know. They never appreciated it.
Right.
Not until much later did they.
Sure, of course.
But 10 years ago he retired, and shortly after that he passed away. So that was the end of that business. I grew up in that business, really.
Right, right.
And actually, it was in my whole family. My uncle, my mother's brother-in-law had a jewelry store, and my cousin, two of my cousins worked for my brother.
So it was all in the family.
It was all in the family, yes.
So let's fast forward to present day. So you came to the Hebrew home how many years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
A little over 4.
Oops. Oh, don't worry.
Oh, God.
Don't worry.
Wait.
Don't worry.
Wait.
We'll get you a napkin. So since you've been here, tell us what do you enjoy about life at the Hebrew home?
I enjoy that there is so many opportunities to express our individuality. For instance, the art class, I'm talking about before the pandemic.
Yes, sure.
And I try to tell people that have come here recently.
Right.
They say, they said this is wonderful. I said, it really was and will be. You can't imagine what's happening now.
Right.
But it's coming back in its own way.
Yep.
I worked with the children from the Hope School.
Yes, and you did the birds. You've been quite active in
Right.
a lot of different
And
things.
from the first day I was here, from the first year I was here, not day, I was here a few months before Josephine called me. And it was an incredible, incredible experience. And of course, with the pandemic, when there's no school here either.
Right.
So, I missed those kids.
Right, and you just started virtually seeing them, right?
I was just going to say that's a whole new thing.
Right.
And I had to learn. My daughters say they're in a meeting when I call them. I'm in a meeting. They're on TV. They're on the computer. It was so hard for me to put it together.
Sure.
But I realized the other day what my daughters were doing.
Yes, because you were doing it too. You entered the Zoom world.
Exactly.
Right,
I came home and I said, aha. I better not be disturbed
There
when
you
I'm in the
go.
class.
There you go.
It's, that kind of thing. But I just think of years later now. I'm jumping ahead. The kids that are growing up now are going to say, gee, do you know they used to meet in a whole room with people,
Well, hopefully we'll get back to some sense of normalcy.
We kind of think of how much of this is going to stay.
Yeah.
Maybe for the health reasons, a lot of things will stay.
Right. So you touched upon that you enjoy the ability to express your individuality. And I know you're going to share a few poems with our viewers today. Have you always been into poetry? Tell us about how that came about.
I've been in poetry since I'm about 4 years old.
Really?
Before I was in kindergarten.
You were writing poems? Or?
I didn't realize that sometimes I would make up songs. I had a very, I don't want to go into it too deeply, that's why I was a little concerned. I am writing a book now about my family, mostly about me and my mom. Oh. And my mom passed away when I was 14. Now, I sat next to her. After school, I ran home and I was next to her all the time. My mother was a very creative person. And she suggested I write something to her, write her a letter, write her this. And I didn't realize what I was writing was in rhyme. I used to speak in rhyme and I will tell you, when my children were small, they'd say, Ma, stop it. And I'd say, stop what? I can't stand it. Everything you say is in rhyme. And I had to force myself not to do it.
Wow.
So it was easier for me to speak in rhyme sometimes. So then my mother realized that, it was poetry, and she explained what a poem was when I was very small, and told me to try to rhyme this line with this one, or it didn't have to have any rhyme at all, and it could also be a poem. So I learned about that like 4 years or 5 years before I would have studied that in school.
Right.
I had a very incredible mother who knew she was dying and who prepared me all her life for me to know how to get along without her.
Oh, my.
And how to take care of myself, what she expected from me, what she wanted me to do.
Wow.
And sometimes I didn't want to listen. And I said, I don't want to hear that today. And she would say, but you have to hear it, because I won't be here to tell you this when you need it.
Oh, my.
And today, even today, I have friends, very close friends, and they'll say to each other, my mother never spoke to me my whole life the way she spoke to her. Did your mother? And they said, no, never. And this went on in school. I taught my friends everything. I mean, in the same nice way my mother taught me, so that no one could be upset. She was a very incredible woman who truly prepared me.
Wow.
And so a lot of the poems I wrote later, I have a lot of poems that were written when I was a little girl, silly ones, and I was thinking if I should bring those in, but I didn't.
Okay.
I could another time, but I have a mixture, like when I'm impressed by something. During the Vietnam War, I wrote poems about the war. I marched, and I made my kids march with me in Washington. I did for them what my mom did for me. None of my friends are marching. I said, well, get them to march. They'll come with us.
You're
and then
empowering them. Yeah,
that started with me taking classes getting police licenses to take them, their mom's permission, and of course they had to want to go. And then I tried to get mothers to come. I needed more mothers to help me
Sure.
to chaperone them.
Right, right.
And I landed up chartering buses to take them.
Wow.
So I was always very, very active with politics in that way.
And with expression with your poems. So why don't we, so we don't run out of time, why don't we listen to one of your poems?
Well, okay, let's see. My light is right here. This is better. This I was thinking of because my great-granddaughter was bat mitzvahed last June, and her brother was supposed to be bat mitzvahed this November. And with the pandemic, he's having a different kind of bat mitzvah. He's having just the rabbi and just immediate family.
Right. Okay.
And someday they'll make it up to him in another way. He's terrific with it, though. But what I was thinking, when I tell people my great-granddaughter was bat mitzvahed, I was thinking of the first time she and I spent a day alone together. And I was so thrilled about it. And I wrote this. I can't get the light right with me. It's, yeah, this is...
Do you want us to turn off a light? Do you need more light or less light?
No, I need my better glasses. I left them upstairs.
Is that better?
This is called A Day in the Park with Viv. Her name is Aviva. As a matter of fact, the theme of her bat mitzvah was Las Vegas, and they had all over Aviva Las Vegas.
Oh, love it. That's great. So clever.
So I didn't bring that one along. I had a good one on that. And this is called A Day in the Park with Aviva. What a magical, mystical, wonderful day for Grandma and Aviva, who have gone out to play. There was swimming and laughing and swinging, running and sunning and singing. She first hit the swings and screamed, "Push me higher." Giggling and swiggling, she soared like a flyer. Then onto the slide, where she swooshed her way down. Hey, hey, make way, she's the talk of the town. Then on the way home, there was joy in each step. She was tired, wired, still full of pep. Once in her bed, that cute little kid gave me a smile and a kiss and closed her two lids.
Wow, that's terrific. Terrific. How long does it take for you to create a poem like that? Is it a long process?
Some of them, if I really am doing it intentionally, and I want to write for a special purpose, that can take longer, because it's not the inspiration. When I'm inspired, the words are pouring out of me, and I'll rewrite it maybe 3 or 4 times.
So it's a relatively fast process. It sounds like you just have the thought.
Sometimes it's a very fast process, and sometimes it takes me a while.
Well, let's listen to another one.
Okay. Well, here I have, I like this one. I call it You Don't Have to Wait for Christmas. You don't have to wait for Christmas for spreading goodwill and cheer. It's nice to be kind to each other all the rest of the year. You don't have to wait for Christmas for buying a loved one a gift. Give it a try in the month of July and give someone you love a lift. Now pretend it's Christmas time in May. Springtime Santa would be gay. And then in September, try to remember another make-believe Christmas day. Then sooner or later, you're going to find that the spirit of Christmas is a state of mind. And the day of Christmas is a time for prayer and another chance for spreading cheer.
Wow, love it. Zelda, you're quite talented.
And this one went very fast. I was very close. As I said, my father lived with me.
Right.
My father was 20 years older than my mother. I used to hear stories that people used to say, where did this beautiful woman come to marry a man 20 years older? But he was extremely handsome, but all these women ran after him when my mother died. But she died at the age of 54. She had me. I was the last of 8 children. There was a 26-year difference between my oldest sister and myself. And I'm writing this story so I don't want to get over into too much. My nieces, my sister's daughter was older than me, and I had another niece that was just a few months difference. I was a few months older than her. We were both Zelda, named for our grandmother. And I had lots of nephews and nieces, all within 3 to 4 years.
It's funny to have a niece who's older than you.
Yeah,
It's funny.
They used to say when we were playing one game, I remember, in the summer, and I lost. I don't remember what the game was. It was something with cards, and if you lost the game, you had to push a tile. We had a long hallway. You had to push the tile with your nose across the floor. And as I was on the floor pushing it, one of my niece's friends said, "Wow, she's really an aunt that crawls." You know? And I've never forgotten her saying that.
That's great. All right, we're going to have to wrap up the show. Let's do one quick poem, and then we'll have to get ready to close the show, unfortunately.
Well, this poem meant a lot to me. I wrote it after my father passed away.
Okay.
All right. Papa, Papa, hold my hand, because I hurt so bad, and only you could understand why I've become so sad. Oh, Papa, Papa, I recall your many chosen words. You thought that I didn't hear them all. Oh, but they were overheard. I'm almost laughing through my tears at thoughts that come to mind as I go backwards through the years with hopes that I might find some words that you muttered before I was grown. The phrases you uttered that were yours all alone. Oh, it was Papa who inspired the things that I do best. But one day Papa grew so tired and went right to his rest. Now Papa cannot hold my hand, although I hurt so bad. And No one's left to understand why I've become so sad.
Oh my. Wow. Very powerful, Zelda. Thank you so much for sharing those with us today.
Hey, you don't want me to read any more?
I would love for you to read a whole bunch more, but unfortunately the clock says 11:01. Do you want to squeeze in a really fast one before they kick us out?
Okay, I'll do this.
Okay.
The world's full of toy makers, busy as bees. They're all making toys that they're hoping will please. Musical blocks and a trumpet that blows, time-telling clocks and a small garden hose. A bus using batteries, all made of tin. And dolls colored brown are finally in. And little toy stoves, which are usually chosen by mommies who only serve food that is frozen. And there's a toy turtle that swims like an eel. He never eats food, so he's better than real. But my favorite toy is the yellow-colored flute. To warm the hearts of all grown-ups who once played Toot Toot.
Ah, that's great.
You remember Toot Toot?
Of course, that's great. Do you remember how old you were when you wrote that?
Probably in my teens.
It's terrific.
This is an old one.
Terrific. All right, Zelda, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to see you as always and to listen to your poems. Quick programming note, we've got Rabbi Noah coming up in moments with Jewish ethics. I'm sure it's going to be another really interesting program. We have Wellness with Deborah at 1:30, a concert with Larry at 2:30, and a rebroadcast of the show, of course, at 6:30. So our thanks again to Zelda. It was such a pleasure. And
Thank you for listening.
And thank you to everyone for tuning in today. We will see you next time.
That's where you find the